And welcome back to Troll Time with the Troll King and Antonio Williams. This is a show where we talk sports, movies, and anything thought provoking. I'm your host, Ivan D. Curtis. Make sure you follow me on Facebook at Ivan D. Curtis. Today's episode, we'll be talking about the WNBA Game 3s. Quick recap on that since we missed you guys the other day. And then what took place on Sunday in Game 4s. Bring my brother in here. Hey, Willie, what's going on with you?
Hey man, what's good? I want all of our people that's walking with us to know that your boy is wearing a Hit Row t-shirt. This is now a defunct faction in WWE. There are two wrestlers that are currently still in WWE and two other wrestlers in AEW, and another one's in TNA. I'm a big wrestling fan, so if you don't know now, you know. That's what Hit Row says.
That's something that I found out new. Hey, Willie, like how big you was in the wrestling. I went to a few wrestling events at the Barclays, and that was my first time ever in life. I stopped watching wrestling as a kid, but nah, that was a big fun fact about you. Just to hop right into it, Game 3, the Liberty and the Aces. Of course, the Aces came away with a 95-81 victory that kept their hopes alive in the playoffs. Sabrina Ionescu struggled in that game for the Liberty. I do believe that was the ultimate downfall for the Liberty. Of course, they were outscored 21-6 in the third quarter, that's not going to do any team any good. But that game in particular, Jackie Young stepped up, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Kelsey Plum, 20 points. That right there can be the telling tape of the Aces when they're playing well. When those two are getting in the 20s or getting around that range. And then Aja Wilson, she only had 14 shot attempts. She was 8 for 14, but finished with 19 points and 14 rebounds. And Tiffany Hayes was her consistent self off the bench. She scored 11. That pushed the series to 2-1. Just your quick thoughts on Game 3 of the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces.
As you know, brother, as we have been going about in this journey, if people don't know again, I'm going to tell you again. Your boy was a point guard. OG was a point guard. So we live hashtag point guard life on this show. The reason why the Aces won Game 3 was because Chelsea Gray dominated Game 3 from the point guard position. Because when you talked about Kelsey Plum, you talked about Jackie Young getting their points, and then Asia going 8 for 14, so shooting over 50% from the field. That's because Chelsea Gray was creating easy shot opportunities for them. When she controls the flow, controls the game from that position, doesn't necessarily have to be the leader scorer, but's got to be the main cog. She's got to be the straw that stirs the drink. That gets easy shot opportunities for the Aces, easier, because one of the things that's underrated about the Liberty, and you are not for us, but maybe for the average fan, is how connected the Liberty are defensively, and all the big bodies that come off the bench that come to clog space for the Aces, make it difficult for Asia to get easy shots, difficult for Jackie to get into the lane and score, even Kelsey as well. So Chelsea has to create easy shot opportunities for the team. Aces get out in transition, able to score when the New York can't stack their defense, and it led to that Game 3 win, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree. And then just to fast forward to Sunday's action, I didn't know what to think really going into Game 4. I felt like the Liberty, they really had no choice but to win Game 4. I didn't feel like a Game 5 was going to be in their favor.
Right.
Just considering, the Aces have been an up and down team, and they still was a championship caliber team. Win, lose, or draw. But the Liberty took care of business, man. 76-62. It was that fourth quarter. They went on a run and outscored the Aces 23-11 in the final quarter. And it's kind of funny, man. Like, I remember as a kid, when I wanted a team to lose. I
Yeah.
was being a big hater when I was a kid, man. Like wanting the team to lose, and then when they lost, it's like, oh damn, man, they really lost. Like you feel a certain type of way. I mean,
Yeah.
most people I felt like have forgot that the Aces were even attempting a three-peat because it was so many people that I felt like. From the posts that I make, I'm really only going to base everything around the content that I do because I can't speak for everybody, of course. But I felt like a lot of people wanted Asia Wilson and the Aces to lose. And when it happened, it was like, oh, man, dang. But you kind of seen it coming because we talked about Game 3 and what Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young did. But if you look at Game 4, Jackie Young, 4 points. That right there, if you don't look at anything else, probably tells you that the Aces didn't win. Kelsey Plum, 17 points. A'ja Wilson, ultimately, receiving a lot of criticism. I was scrolling on Twitter, and I will get into that, after we talk about the recaps. But it's justified. Uh, two back-to-back 19-point games. She had 10 rebounds and 5 blocks. This game, she only had 13 shot attempts. I don't know who it is to blame for her only getting 13 shot attempts. Kelsey Plum had 16. But these are not MVP-like performances in the playoffs. And at some point, I was thinking today that I realized why a lot of people don't. It's hard to get into certain talks that you have in the NBA, and then when you try to do it in the WNBA, because in the NBA we don't always involve outside activity to affect our opinions of what a player does on the court. But in the
Right.
WNBA, man, that shit is overkill.
It is.
And that's why it's hard. Like people get so defensive when you make a comment about a player and their performances because they so busy fighting battles and everything away from the game. And like I said, 2 back-to-back 19-point performances, that doesn't cut it for a unanimous MVP. I do believe she's the first unanimous MVP not to make it to a finals. Our first MVP not to make it to a finals. I'll fact check that later, but tough scene. Not to discredit what the Liberty did. I mean, man, Sabrina, she took control from beginning and to the end. A lot of people forget who Sabrina. Sabrina had a lot of acclaim and everything like that coming into the WNBA. For those who remember, she didn't play. I think she only played like 3 games or something like that her rookie year because she got hurt. But she came in with a lot of hype. She was a triple-double queen in college, and big time scorer, big time playmaker, and everything like that. And I think now starting to show through. She had 22 points, 7 rebounds, 5 for 8 from the 3. Jonquel Jones was sniffing around that double-double with 14 points and 6 rebounds. And then you have Breanna Stewart, man. She finds multiple ways to impact the game. She didn't shoot well. She was only 8 for 21, but had 14 rebounds and 5 assists and 4 blocks to go with 19 points. So that kind of set the tone. And then I'm going to say this and then pass it to you. One of I think the most underrated things about this series is the way Courtney Vandersloot was able to come off the bench. And if she's giving you 6 to 8 points, which she got double digits, I think one time, but if she's giving that type of production off the bench, that is all bad for anybody. Leona Fibich, she stepped up huge in this closeout game with 11 points and 7 rebounds. Very efficient, 4 for 6 from the field, 1 for 1 from the 3, and 2 for 2 from the free throw line. So to go with 4 assists, I mean, and that's a 6'4" wing we talking about. But your thoughts on the Liberty closing out the Aces in Game 4?
It's funny. Earlier when we were talking about Game 3, what are we talking about? How the Liberty come off the bench with all of these big bodies, and it's seemingly to combat what the Aces are going to do in the paint as it relates to A'ja Wilson. Another big storyline in this game, the rebounding difference. The Aces had 27 rebounds. The Liberty had 48 rebounds total. 13 offensive. So when you have 13 offensive rebounds, that gives you more shot opportunities. That means your bigs are doing their job in the paint, getting you more shot opportunities. See, Sabrina Ionescu is also a good rebounder from that guard position. It also says the Aces had 4 offensive rebounds. You know what they're not getting? Extra shot opportunities. And the other thing that you pay attention to with the Aces as well, we talk about that front court battle and that depth. We've talked about it throughout this show where there has to be some assistance on the front line when you have Asia Wilson. They got to get something from that 4 spot as well. I think they got 5 total points, 5 total rebounds out of maybe 38, 39 minutes from the 2 people that played the 4. That's Alicia Clark. That's Meg Gustafson as well. So the Aces need more production out of that area as well. So they're not so Asia centric. So they're not so easy to stop because when they play against really, really good defensive teams that are connected, there's some predictability when you see the Aces as well because you know that virtually all of their paint touches, virtually everything they get from the front court is going to be Asia, and that's it. So I want to see what the Aces do to address some of that help in the front court is for Asia. Get some people with some size that can do some things. Is this also the year that next year do they start getting stuff from Kirsten Bell? That was one of the first round picks from a couple years ago. Doesn't play a lot. They need some production out of her. And if there's not from her, they need to go out and find a big that can help or someone with some size that can help, maybe a couple bodies. And again, I know that they have their big 3 on the perimeter with Asia Wilson. Maybe that's addressing around the edges, but they got to get more production from some big bodies for sure if they want to extend this championship run from Asia.
No doubt. I think with that team, you kind of look at it. It kind of puts me in the frame of mind of like a Red Auerbach. I mean, you riding and dying with the veteran players, not really playing a ton of younger players. And for them in that series, with them having a lack of size, I don't understand why Queen didn't play.
Yeah, Queen Egbo, yeah.
Egbo. I don't know why she didn't play. She's 6'4". Gustafson definitely could have played more. I don't know. Like when you really look at it, they had a dominant starting 5. A very extremely competitive starting 5. They wasn't dominant this year, but I'm not trying to take too much away from the Aces because they still finished 27-10. Like let's not fool ourselves because
Right.
they didn't make it back to the finals or they didn't three-peat or anything like that. Like they had and I know it was championship or bust, but it's definitely not a subpar season. There's a ton of other teams that would scream out to have a 27-13 season. But
Right.
you start looking at this roster, man, and it's definitely a lot of gaps that need to be filled. Like you said, Kirsten Bell, I even the times she's played, I don't even know what to get, what you expect from her. Like what are you gonna get? Kate Martin, I felt like it's kind of she's just a casualty in the situation because they have multiple starters that do the same thing she does, and of course they're going to get 30 to 35 minutes a night, so that doesn't leave a whole lot there for Kate Martin, but they're definitely going to have to go out and get some pieces if they want to get back to that championship level. A lot of teams are getting better, they're getting more depth. So it's going to be a challenge. Definitely, we're going to get in later on down the line about the expansion drafts and protections and that. Like it's way too early. I want to get into that when the season is over with, so you can look at all the rosters and see who's out there and things of that nature. But like I said, tough scene. But hats off to the New York Liberty. Just one thing I want to shine a note on is the New York Liberty social media team for dropping that picture of the Timbs in the middle of the court in Las Vegas. That was kind of dope. I mean, to me, I just wish we would kind of relinquish a lot of the sensitivity in sports. Man, it's competitive. You're going to see reactions and different natures of people that you wouldn't typically see in the heat of competition. That's all it is, man. You got all these people out here thinking that they know people just based off the judgments and actions that they do within the lines, and that's about as sick as thinking you know somebody because of what they post on social media. But anyway, moving along, we get to the Minnesota Lynx and the Connecticut Sun. It was tied 1-1 going into Game 3. The Lynx, you know, Nafisa Collier put on another masterclass in Game 3 and with 26 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Was efficient, 11 for 19. Courtney Williams played outstanding with 16 points, 8 assists, with 7 to 10 from the field. Not too bad for somebody who doesn't have a lot of good games, as Marina maybe said. But and Kayla
So,
McBride.
and people should take that out of context. They're actually dogs.
Oh
They
no, no
friends.
doubt, no
Yeah,
doubt.
but again, going back to what you're saying about people being sensitive, they are friends. And like I said when we first started previewing this series, Courtney said, "Yeah, we'll be back to being cool again after the series is over."
Yeah, and that's the way it go, man. Kayla
Right.
McBride, 13 points, 5 assists, and then Bridget Carlton, 12 points, 6 rebounds. Um, Good night for Brianna Jones. I mean, she was scored 21 points. Only grabbed 4 rebounds, which was concerning to me. I mean, for the position that she plays, but AT was sneaking around another triple double with 13 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and then Dewana Bonner has been putting it in the bucket as of late. Didn't shoot well, but still finished with 16 points and 8 rebounds. And Dejanay Carrington, 13 points on 6 of 15 shooting. Now, I always get I get kind of antsy, man, when Dejanay is putting up more shots than Bonner, Thomas, and Jones. Maybe he's gonna get her, so y'all, don't worry about that. She was 6 for 20. Bad shooting cost the Sun in this game because it was fairly competitive and close. They actually outscored Minnesota in the fourth quarter. So it was just a horrific shooting. 30 for 73 is wild for 41%, and they only shot 15% from the three. It was 3 for 20, 4 bench points. Your thoughts on Game 3 before we get into Game 4?
You know, that same situation where you're looking at, like you said, the bench points, but the other thing is, if you look at this series, the best players and all the elite players in this series are in the front court for both teams. Obviously, you got Nafisa Collier, and then, of course, you got Alyssa Thomas, you got her, you got Brianna Jones, you got multiple, and then DeWanda Bonner plays everywhere, right? So, like, she plays in the backcourt, she plays in the front court, she plays everywhere. So, this series comes down to what you get from your guard production. Courtney Williams plays well, Minnesota wins. And making buckets, again, allows them to stack up and plus up defensively. And that means that Connecticut, which is their Achilles heel, which is scoring in the half court, they force Connecticut to operate that way, play slower, and it ends up being the reason why Minnesota gets out with a win.
Indeed, indeed. Now, pushing along to Game 4, this series has been, back and forth. You get Connecticut still Game 1, then Minnesota comes back and wins Game 2, then Minnesota steals Game 3, and then Game 4, the Connecticut Sun, they end up pulling away 92-82. Now, Nafisa Collier, she had zero help in this game. She goes back to back with double doubles, 20 plus points with double doubles, with 29 points, 13 rebounds, 9 for 15, 2 for 3 from the three, and 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Now, she is the queen of efficiency. Especially when you talk about scoring. But then you get Bridget Carlton 2 for 11, Courtney Williams 4 for 9, Kayla McBride 2 for 6, and then Elena Smith, she was 3 for 4 and 2 for 3 from the three, and this was early in the game. Finished with 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. But once again, as a coach, it burns me up when I see players that's shooting efficient getting the minimum amount of shots, and the players that's shooting horrific, they are chucking like that. You know, from a player IQ standpoint, especially as a point guard, like I say, for instance, like Courtney Williams, you know you're not shooting good. You should be trying to call you some more looks, Smith some more looks. Like I mean, and let it flow. Um, it was not a good shooting night from Minnesota. Although they shot 46% overall, 38% from the three, and 88% from the free throw line. The free throw line is what keeps them in a lot of games that they shouldn't even be in, because Collier is going to find her way to the line eight to 10 times a game. But hats off to Ty Harris from the Connecticut Sun. She is definitely what they were missing in Game 3. And ultimately, me and you talk about this all the time. It's not ever a question if Connecticut is going to play defense. It's where is the scoring going to come from? And she answered that. She was a starter in this game. Maybe came off the bench. Maybe still finished in double figures with 10 points on 10 shots. Like I said, she's going to find a way to put it up. But Carrington more efficient, 15 points on 6 to 10 shooting. DeWanna Bonner, I love Connecticut. I favor Connecticut when she's being aggressive. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, and 1 block. And this is no young lady that we're talking about. Like, and she's
37 years old, doing her thing,
and still out there giving them problems.
No question.
That was 8 for 12, and then 1 for 2 from the 3, 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Now the other thing that I talked about in Connecticut's first series is about AT being aggressive. 17 shot attempts. That is a lot of shot attempts for AT. She rarely puts up a lot of shots. She finished with 18 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists. And anytime she's lurking, they rarely lose when she gets a triple-double numbers. Like, and now we are tied going into a Game 5. Right? We still got a series to talk about before we get to the finals. But break down Game 4 a Willy style.
2 numbers you got to pay attention to: 23 and 15. And the reason why I say that is because the 23 minutes, even though Courtney Williams shot 4 for 9, she only played 23 minutes. Why? Because she was in foul trouble. And attribute that to Ty Harris getting in the lineup. And now Courtney Williams at that point guard position has got to play some defense now. And she's a solid defender, but she's got to play some defense now when Ty Harris is out there, because Ty Harris is an offensive threat. And clearly she showed that in Game 4, propelling Connecticut to that win. And that 8 for 15 that I'm talking about is Connecticut shooting 15 threes and making 8 of them, shooting almost 54% from 3. That's a big, big number to pay attention to, because they decreased the amount of threes that they shot, became more accurate. That's a big thing. And then also, too, one of the things that we talked about, when you talked about Alyssa Thomas, AT, being aggressive, part of that is because they played her at the 5. And one thing we got to pay attention to is there was a shot attempt where I believe it was Fee going to the bucket, because when they put Brianna Jones at the 5 and Minnesota goes 4 out, 1 in with Nafisa Collier at the 5 at 6'1". So crazy, but she'll play the 5. That will allow her to get to the bucket and use her quick and efficient first step. I talk about, as a scout, economy of movement with Nafisa Collier. She's one of the best if you like to watch things get done in an efficient and easy manner. I'm talking about the movement as well as the actual offensive moves. I'm talking about how she moves on the floor. So when Fee went to the bucket, Bree Jones, I started talking to her teammates. Remember, she sustained a shoulder injury in the Indiana series. And she only played, I think she played maybe 14 or 15 minutes in this game, because she went to the bench after she got a foul, and it looked like was having trouble raising her arm to contest that shot when she fouled Nafisa Collier. What that does is moves AT to the 5. Connecticut starts playing faster when AT plays the 5. And not only are they getting scoring from that 5 spot, the other thing you start to get is playmaking from the 5. It is so valuable when you have playmaking from the 5 because in a sense, it allows you to invert your offense, and the 5 can initiate your offense. And most teams don't like it when they have to play against a 5 that's initiating the offense. It removes the advantage of predictability for opposing defenses when your 5 can start the offense and make great decisions, not only in the half court, but on the break as well. And that's what makes AT so tough, in addition to all the other things that she does. But literally, when she's scoring and playmaking from the 5, Connecticut really needs that because it gives them the opportunity to diversify their offense. AT can get a rebound, bring it up the court immediately, and allow Connecticut to score in transition, which is what they need to do against Minnesota.
Yeah, now this series will conclude Tuesday, 8 p.m. on ESPN2. Winner gets a well-rested New York Liberty team that has made its trip back to the finals for the second time in back-to-back years. New York's looking for his first championship. Connecticut Sun is looking for the same thing if they can get past the Minnesota Lynx. I'm gonna ask you, hey, Willie, who you taking in Game 5?
Man, this is going to be an interesting one. It's hard for me to go against Minnesota at home in a Game 5 because I think they will adjust. But as I'm going to say, Connecticut is going to get over the hump and they're going to the WNBA finals.
I'm going to take you up on that. I mean, me personally, I do think that's possible. What are the chances that, Ty Harris has another outstanding offensive game? Because that is going to matter at the end of the day. I think if the Lynx can hold Ty Harris and Mabry, under 15 points, I think they'll come out of there with a win. I don't see them getting, especially with Jones, we don't know what's going to be the outcome. How many, like you were correct, she only played 14 minutes that game, but if she doesn't play, it's like, where's the scoring coming from?
Right.
And I don't see them being able to outscore Minnesota. And then also now we get a chance to see Nafisa Collier with her back against the wall. What type of game she's gonna bring. And honestly, I think she's gonna be aggressive and definitely not trying to go out. And she's almost playing at home in Connecticut anyway. So
Right.
I'm gonna go with the Lynx.
Hold on, I think Game 5 is in Minnesota.
Oh, well, yeah, man.
Yeah.
That my mistake. I'm gonna go with the Lynx. I didn't care where the game was gonna be played at.
Yeah, right.
But I'm still going with the Lynx because I just don't see Nafisa Collier. I don't know. I think she's gonna do everything in her might to make sure that she gets to the finals. I almost feel like, honestly, it would be from the way that the season has went, not from what people thought from the beginning of the season about the expectation of the Aces. But at the way the season has went, I almost feel like it would be a bigger letdown for the Lynx to not get to the finals after everything that they have accomplished throughout the season.
I agree with that.
But they're 30-10. They've been in the 1 and 2 team all year long. They have the defensive player of the year. They have a couple all defensive team players. I mean, and they got the best coach. So I think it would be a bigger letdown, but it definitely Connecticut's been there, done that. So I think we should be in for a treat in Game 5. And like I said, that's Tuesday, 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Just a few things that I want to point out that I was scrolling. I guess I'll start calling this section on what's trending. Different things that I see. But Chelsea Gray joins Courtney Vandersloot, Lindsay Whalen, and Sue Bird as one of only 4 players in WNBA history to reach 300 career playoff assists. In the last 20 seasons, Maya Moore is the only rookie to have won both the Rookie of the Year and the WNBA championship in the same season. Nafisa Collier joins Candace Parker, Atlanta Deladone, and as the only WNBA players to have recorded 25 or more points and 10 rebounds or more in consecutive playoff games. And then to bring some light to the Connecticut Sun, Dejanay Carrington, she only averaged 5 points and 2 rebounds in the 2023 playoffs. Her numbers are up this year: 13.8 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and 1.8 steals. And that would be your most improved player by a wide margin, especially doing that in the playoffs. And then last but not least, you have AT is the only WNBA player in history that has recorded 700 plus points, 350 rebounds, and 300 assists in the playoffs. For those who were acting like triple doubles and everything was a new thing in the WNBA, it's definitely not. AT has been doing it, and I'll probably keep doing it because she's a dog at the point forward position.
Man.
At this time, Willie, as I always do, you got anything you want to get off your chest, man?
Man, let's talk about it. That's one of my favorite wrestlers, my cousin, Trick Williams. He ain't my cousin, but he's got my last name, says. um, People, because we're in this video game, fantasy sports era, we validate players by winning championships in team sports. And sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not. There are a lot of great players that, and you and I know this because we both play. It's hard as hell to be great. It's hard as hell to be great. It's hard as hell to be good. It's hard as hell to be a professional. It's hard as hell to play in college. I don't care what level it's on. So when you are at the highest level and let's take it in LeBron, not one, not two, but you're trying to win 3 in a row, that's a hell of an accomplishment. Yeah, it takes a physical and mental toll on you. So people that try to discredit what the Aces, in particular, what Asia Wilson has done over this stretch, y'all need to sit y'all asses down for real. Because again, the way that this woman is played, the way that this woman has lifted this organization, and brought notoriety to this sport as well, and has done it, transitioned seamlessly, has done it without any hiccups. It's amazing, man. So again, respect this woman, respect greatness. We have a tendency of making greatness routine because we're judging these players on a game by game basis as if they're not making deposits in that greatness bank. This woman have made hella deposits in this greatness bank. Hella, yes, I'm from the West. So with that being said, respect this woman and what she's doing. And man, I can't wait to see what they do and what she does next year.
Yeah, and as my last words, I agree right along with Willie. We talked about it beforehand. It's hard to win championships at any level, especially when you start moving up the ranks from the collegiate level. Hell, look at all the acclaim and everything that we give Caitlin Clark, who walked away 0-4 in her attempts to try to win a college championship. It's a hard thing to do. And no matter how you talk about how great a player is, the best teams win. It's not always the best player or the greatest player or anything like that. What she's already done in a 7-year span is great within itself. My take personally is, like I said earlier, and I'll just say it again, is even somebody who has the following and presence that I do, I don't troll these professional athletes. I don't say things out of the way. Hell, I don't even do that to people who come on the post and comment or anything. I respect the work that they put in their craft, and I just truly like to be entertained. And I'm going to always keep it that. I'm going to keep the sport, and leave it at that. All the personal things and that people try to add to it, that actually of course, it heightens the drama, but it takes away from the game and
No
the
question.
work that they're actually putting in. And like for me, as I always say, if you don't remember anything, remember this: I'm here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Catch us on the next episode.